Hey, bit of a little bit. Sure, everything over. Working. Go. And oh, all right. I guess try it. Try this. All right. Okay. There we go. That one. Okay. Let's feature. Let's invite guests. Saber Academy. Two. Kind of fun. A little bit bizarre. Don't know what we're doing. Performance issues detected. Oh my god. Josh just said best op. Set up my browser. Oh, what the? Manually place 5 guests.
Goodness. Karen, you said
Oh.
something.
playing around with this. That should because
Oh, that's on you.
you got to hear the call now. If you're here, by the way,
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, yeah, yeah. I'm just trying to get the camera sorted.
Uh,
Uh,
so if I copy this, I've copied guest one's browser.
yeah, I'm just not going to turn that on.
But guest one,
Where's the,
guest. Then if I
what's going on?
paste this in as a, yeah, that should.
Just gonna.
The funky feature.
It's like I can't get the background working, so I'm just gonna leave it.
Oh, does it not have like your background?
No, it doesn't. I don't think I've got it set up. Sure, I can get it.
Oh, and you don't. Do you have like a camera?
Yeah, I think so. Let's see if I can get that going.
Have to show off your. You don't want to.
No, yeah, the office is looking pretty bad. The dog's been living in here for a while, and he's just destroyed a box all over the place. So.
That's all good. Oh well, I mean, yeah. So this, it looks like it is. It's like a browser sort. Might be a way for you to.
So apparently in OBS you can go start virtual camera. So let's have a look at that. I don't even know what virtual camera does.
You know what? Sorry.
I don't even know what virtual camera does.
So it's like, well, it's pretend webcam, but give it SV.
Oh yeah. Okay, there you go. Start virtual camera.
Oh, confirm that it.
Select settings.
I could have.
Oh dear. Show you. Okay, there we go. So
Here we go. Camera may already be in use. Get that button.
Yeah, yeah. It looks like I'm getting there, but I can't output type. Okay, there we go. So then output type is to source, and then select your desired camera.
Part of. Yeah, so we browser source.
Like it's been like months since I was playing around with OBS, and like I actually did a lot of work on it.
Oh yeah,
which is funny stuff. But I can't. For life now, I can't figure out how to work it now, so it's going to take some time.
but it
Like,
looks like
show
in
what I
this
mean.
camera it says virtual. I've got a virtual drop down.
Yep.
Window.
Oh, yeah. See what it does. So that goes to that. I see. And then if I go granting. Oh, That's trippy, man. I can't believe how much work I did this. Bugger.
Break it.
No, I was trying to look for the volume because one of the cutscenes I made was like really loud.
Oh.
If I can find it, I really want to show you some of the crap that I was doing. Let's see, we're gonna go back to source.
Because we can go back to it just.
No, that's all right. This is kind of fun because it's good for me to learn. But I just kind of figured need it, like, because at the moment I'm at the point where I've got output. So output type is source, I assume, or maybe it's going to be preview. So go source, and then I think the output
OBS
selection. Yeah, this thing OBS. You got to do it. You got to. It's connected. I can see it's connected with Twitch already, but at the moment it's not getting the right output. So I've got to figure out video capture device. What's it going to be called? Window capture. Try window capture. Yeah, I reckon window capture's done it. All right, so now I'm going to just quickly see if this works.
You're gonna.
Yeah, so let's have a look.
Okay, start virtual program out. That's yeah, and then you select camera. Okay, I'm going to see if this works now. No, you can't see that yet. Oh, and you can share your screen.
I can share it inside Twitch.
Chrome tab, a window, or probably do that.
I don't even know where I'm looking. Where is it?
See in the call.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you've got
Yep.
So it looks like that pretty much just works as like. And then what I do is I embed this. Just your part of the. Yes. That's cool because then it announces that you're.
It looks pretty cool, man. Like there's a lot of cool functionality. It's like being in a whole new room that I've never been in before. And I can see that my screen is black, which suggests it's pulling the thing from somewhere, but I can't tell where it's pulling from.
So if you click on the camera drop down, what? Oh.
Yeah, it's got virtual camera, so I'm definitely pulling from the OBS virtual camera. But in my OBS, I can't figure out.
Is it
I've got window capture.
Live?
Maybe it's. Yeah.
Yeah.
Go back to background static and try that.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, so I can change the background static. But then if I go to, because really what I want is whatever I see in OBS, I want you guys to see. So maybe I'll just see if I can change something now. You can't see that now. So I just changed something, but you can't see it, which is annoying.
And is it you're not in studio mode, are you? Like preview program?
Maybe. That's what I thought. Maybe I got to start recording or start streaming. Let's see. Open settings. Open settings to enter the URL. Okay.
I don't think you need to stream, dude.
Oh.
Because if you're already in OBS and I can see your still image now.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like I was showing you the still image, but then I changed it. So there should be a source. Like at the moment, my options are commentary window, faction wars intro. So like if I show you this one, you'll see this
performance issue.
But I don't want to have to keep changing it.
So you're back to black now. Oh, I can see your background. Good, cool cutscene.
Yeah. So that's just a basic loop.
So is your camera source detected by OBS?
Nah, so like I can change through like scenes in OBS, right? So I can change scenes in OBS. But then when I change scenes in OBS, you can't see them change, which is a shame.
I
Because there's
just
a lot of
seen
cool
the
scenes that I
change.
got.
I just seen the corridor one.
Yeah, yeah. So I had to manually select that from the output selection, as opposed to like just having one window. Um,
Oh, like a scene.
yeah, so I had to manually select that scene instead of just like loading it, which is really annoying. So I should be able to just click through the scenes, right? Like
How are you
because I
changing it?
can see the scenes in OBS. I'm changing it by selecting the scenes in the scenes drop down box. Um,
Yeah, but then how are you changing the boss on Twitch?
So I have to. So to change it on the Twitch, I've got to manually in OBS go to the settings for the virtual camera. Then
Yep,
I've got to
the little
manually
cog.
select the output selection again. Yeah, the little cog. And
So,
that's a
and if
really
you've got it set
like,
to
slow
program,
grind way.
got it set to program, it's not
Program.
everything. Yeah, program means live.
Program.
The preview is like when you've
Okay.
got studio mode on, and like you want to check something before you send it live. That's live. Yeah, program means it's your live window.
That's how you do
there
it.
you
Yay.
go. All right, sorry.
Success.
Being a broadcaster, I know what program and preview is. It was
Wow.
it was
This
in
is
my
cool.
it was in my dumb field. Now you're happy.
Now I can make all these. Now I can do all these.
Oh, look at this! Now that you've been doing all this stuff on OBS, you can stuff. Sick, dude.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna add you in as a proper browser window, and dashboard Twitch. I'll make you. Right. Sort of. I don't want any custom. What are you sending right now? Back?
At the moment, I'm just here. I'll put it back to static. But I was just looking at I was going to find a way to browse it up. Maybe
what?
Yeah, that's right. Because I was gonna.
Yes, browser page. As? Am I like gonna get freaking virus live on stream? Funny. Wait, and then I'm gonna make you like a half. I'll chuck you in the top corner for now.
Ah, cool. All right, now I can do that too. Woo. It's like looking into the void.
Hey, how you doing? Screen share as well.
Yeah, so now I can do screen share too. All right, so now I'm going to go to my work and pull that up. But I really should have done this the two-screen laptop instead of the desktop.
All well and good. Try out. But the cool thing is it notifies that you're live on Twitch on my channel, vice versa. Which I do your Twitch account.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. No, this is cool. Twitch has certainly gotten a lot more.
Oh, dude,
advanced
the amount of stuff they've done now. Like now that I've got like affiliate, I can see all of the ads and everything, and all the integrations, all the notifications, all the extra stuff. It's crazy. Like all the alerts and stuff. You used to have to use so many third-party programs and plugins to do that, and now it's kind of integrated.
Yep.
Rating. So you've been like teaching yourself some OBS stuff.
Yeah, this was a while ago though. I've been. Wait, what have I done there? Okay. Yeah, this was a while ago. I haven't actually done much since then.
That's cool though.
Just thought, oh, bugger it. Yeah, it's not too bad. Like I was trying to figure out, like, 'cause this is when I was like bought all the gear ready to do the live stream videos and stuff, and I thought, I'll have these cutscenes made up, so like if I need to go to run the toilet or something like that, I can just quickly change to a cutscene and make a really cool, 5 minute
Yeah.
video. Like this takes me back to the days of like DJing and stuff like that, right? And so
Wait, you're a DJ?
it's just live performance. Yeah, man. I mean, many years ago now. Like I haven't done any for like a long time.
I don't think you've ever told me you were.
Yeah, yeah, I used to, just like basic like weddings and parties and stuff like that. Your standard stuff. That was good fun.
I-
That was my first job actually.
Oh, the freaking green box behind background. Like the IKEA cubes you get.
Yeah.
Gave us 2 of them. Oh yeah, with the shelves that we got. I gave us crappy green. Oh, okay. And then like Ginny grabbed them today and went, "Oh my god, we could use them." A brilliant idea. Hey John, how you doing, mate? So yeah, we can hide the lights in them on the green screen, and then they won't. We can get the lights closer to the green screen, but they'll still be keyed out.
Yep.
It was like super cool idea.
Yeah, I've got to bring mine in as well.
Hey,
what's going on there?
John, you wouldn't know Mikey, would you? You're from Weiler as well. That would be weird. John works at Telstra now. Yeah.
All right.
Went.
Another Telstra lad.
Oh wait, did you work at Telstra as well?
Yeah, I was a radio designer.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
He doesn't know you apparently. Probably a good thing.
Nah, that's alright.
But yeah, it's more bold for sure.
Not the. It's more
What was
notoriety there than anything else.
What was your DJ name?
So I used to work. Actually, maybe you might remember like Bass Beat Entertainment or like Louis Omega Disco and stuff like that. John, I don't know how old you are or
1 year older than me.
Yeah, so we might remember Louis, like old Louis, and Danny. Danny was another DJ from Weiler.
That sounds
like pretty much any wedding and blue light discos and stuff like that. That was like
blue light disco. Funny. Were you going to chuck your camera up or?
I was going to find a way if I could just remove the background, but like my office is so terrible right now. It literally looks like a homeless person hoarding stuff.
Could you?
So I'm pretty embarrassed.
Could you chuck up your? Maybe we could do like use your Discord virtual background.
Yeah, maybe.
On your screen.
How would I? Can I change my output to Discord? Oh, let's see.
You guys, the Meatbags.
I'm overthinking this. Right?
You
So
are a
what
bit.
I'm just gonna reorient the camera so that it's looking up and not down at my horrid mess of a.
Oh, all
space.
that.
Instead, you're gonna see my hairy nostrils. That
Is there not a?
Let's have a little look. I might disappear for a second. I don't know. Camera settings.
Yeah, I've just.
Okay, yeah.
I've just got the NVIDIA privilege, having your broadcast just cut out software that problem has stood me from now. Do you have like? Because yeah, can you just like set up a Discord chat like with you? And then use the window capture. Oh god, this. Yeah, so just while you're here, John, anyway, the idea is that we're creative meatbags that we may be either the first or the last of a long breed of of human creatives that make things creatively. Whereas with all these AI tools coming in, um, how long we've got left, right? So the idea with the podcast is us kind of talking about these new tools, talking about all the tech stuff that's coming out and how we're using uh actually expand our creativity rather than a lot of people what's took our job. We're actually creative ways of that will enable stuff that couldn't exist any other way. So Mikey here's got all this crazy, awesome art and everything he's been making for his lightsaber school martial arts club, which is freaking awesome. But it wouldn't be possible for one person to do all of these things and run the martial arts club without the use. It's that kind of putting that positive spin on it, taking something away, you're actually gaining that wouldn't otherwise be feasible previously. So that's sort of like the spin of the podcast in general. Done a couple on the channel already, and it's there's a door sliding over, special delivery sliding in from camera left here, and it looks like homemade chocolate mousse. Very exciting. We nearly had another guest on the pod, and then I'd have to like sort all this out again. Dude, this has been a busy week for me. So this will be my second podcast, like that I've been technically, and I've got another one. Kind of funny. Oh, you've still got the green going because you know you can key the green in. Yes, right, Mikey. Also, I think I've lost your audio. Wait, I could key the green. Holy crap! I could key the green. Hang on. Can I key the green? I guess there's not a lot of green. Could probably key it. They're the moose via AI. AI cannot eat my moose. Definitely not. I still can't hear you, by the way, dude. Wait a minute. Did I close it? Is the Twitch other thing? Lost it. Yeah, your camera looks decent. And on. Let's just invite him again. Guest. Right? Turn that off. Going so smoothly. If I get that. Invite guest. Opens up. Invite guest. Pending recent. All right, this is what they call in the biz slow TV. Pause collaborations on. I think I closed it by accident. Open. Oh. Yeah, though. So smooth. How do I get the fight thingy? Go stream together. Oh, here we go. That button. I've got it. So, still there?
Yeah, you there?
Yeah, I got you. Cool. All right, we're back. We're back in action. So you should be coming through your wires. Pop your stream. I would actually be able to key out the green. Able to frame it up on your end.
Well, actually, yeah, what I might do is, if I can just find my little webcam camera, because I know there's a box somewhere, but I don't know where it's gone. And I don't.
But I can add a filter to your chat.
Yeah.
So then I could key the green on.
I'll just do that then. I'll just go to my webcam. So I'll close out OBS. I'll put back the webcam. And then,
Oh, but I want to see all your fancy stuff.
Oh, well, I just, I just closed it off. All right.
Wow.
I mean, this could be, I guess, technically a collaboration. Ah, it's working. It's working.
Oh, what'd you do?
I don't know. I don't know, but I'm not going to touch it now. I'm just going to leave it alone. Can you see me? Hang on a sec.
Your icon. Oh,
yeah.
video.
Now
oh, you
it looks like I'm doing live commentary of like a game or something like that.
Wow. All right, I'll put you on stream. So, bam. There we go. Sick. I like your comparison to Jing. That's actually kind of fun because it is very much that sort of like you're surrounded by buttons. And
yep.
There's all these things, and it's like a live performance. And you have to sort of like roll with the punches.
Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah, you gotta love those.
That's funny. Yeah, right. No, I had no idea that you used. That's cool.
Yeah, you know, I had this really funny job once, right? Like where so I used to have to travel all around like regional South Australia, from like as far as like Ceduna and stuff like that, and even like Andamuka. And
oh wow,
there was this one
dude,
job.
my like grandma.
Yeah. There's not much up there. I don't know how there's anybody living up there. It's like
because there was opals up there.
Yeah, that's right. But,
oh,
like,
good dude.
Yeah.
Pop by later if you like. Thanks for popping by, John. Yeah, no, there was opals out there. That's where she was. And there was this whole thing where she like basically built the first house ever like out there. Everything. Okay. And then like literally like paid a dude to like make bricks a house that and it was like a whole ordeal. I wonder then, dude, what if you... Oh, no. I was thinking, what if you then had another scene background?
Well, it's possible.
Pop you into like a bit of a...
I mean, it's possible. I mean, like, because I bet like look like a tiny little head or something right now in your screen as well, right? So I don't even know how it looks on the end.
Yeah, so you've sort of got like I've got whatever you're seeing as a window that I can...
there's a way. I'm just gonna It's gonna end up massively stuffing around with it again. I need to take more time, I think, to figure this out.
But you can duplicate your existing scene.
I can duplicate.
Yeah, so you can right click on a scene and duplicate it. Oh crap! I just clicked on the wrong thing. Back to video call. So you can right click on scenes and duplicate them, and you'll have just a virtual copy of that as a different name, and then you just change a couple of things.
Duplicate.
Preserves everything you already had.
What should we call it?
Cool.
I don't know. Floating
podcast.
Head.
Floating. Well, I mean that's very on theme for this podcast, right? Because
no, let's have a look at this. Where's my web? Because obviously I'm looking at my webcam somewhere, but I don't know where he is. Commentary window. That must be the one there. And then that's oh, it's set to lock. Okay, look at that. Now I can increase this.
oh, there we go. That's better. Awesome.
I think I liked the other video, to be honest. Alright, so let's see now. Well, what if I also change this right to I got sponsors there. I don't even have sponsors yet, and I've made things for sponsors ready. What was I doing like 4 months ago? I can't remember.
Can't even remember.
Nah. I just go through like that hyper focus, and then like time goes away, and then next thing I know, I've written 4 books. Stupid. Oh, jeez.
It's just hilarious. Like last week, like so we went playback. They game dev event that they hold at Games Plus, where people get to like show off their games, and people come around and test them and whatever. And we were sort of like making a bit of a comment about like how tilted the spectrum is in the places that we hang out a lot. Where it's like it's like this it was almost like a political leaning, right? Where it's like sometimes it's like there actually isn't a left and there isn't a middle and a right. Like it's like you've got the left of center and you've got the very, very, very left of center or whatever. The places we were hanging out lately, it's been kind of the opposite, right? Whereas like neurodivergency, and if there are some normies around, it's kind of off. It's just funny, but like definitely the types of pursuits that we're involved in, especially in the last like everything that's doing, you look. I guess it's just everyone.
In a
weird way.
Like I've had the opportunity to work with so many different people from so many different levels of affluence or education, and can I swear on this channel?
Yeah, dude, this is our podcast. It can be whatever.
Just like everyone's fucked. Like that's the short of it.
I was swearing up a storm on Star Wars last night. So
yeah.
Dude, no, for sure. It's yeah, it is this weird thing, right? And then like we have like a board games night with a group of friends, and we go there and you're sort of looking around the room and you're like, all right, and you're sort of looking and go like, they've got a bit of it, and they've got a bit of it, and you're looking around and you're like, well, I've probably got a bit of it. And it's kind of interesting. And then we start using terms like hyper focus now as like it is kind of a coded word in a way, but also like it's kind of positive, right? Like it has that positive kind of superpower connotation now. The TikTok videos and everything, kind of funny. And like I totally get that, where you're doing the thing and you weigh in it, and you look at the clock and you heck.
like have you been having this situation now where TikTok is just giving you videos? Like it's not like you've searched for ADHD, right? But you've just been getting the algorithm sending you ADHD videos saying, Look, we can tell by the way that you flick through videos and things you're paying attention to, you're probably ADHD.
I mean,
I imagine there's some algorithm somewhere that has like a gauge that says, well, this person doesn't pay attention for more than like 10 seconds to any video. They're
well, who does? I've got like a couple of points on. I've got the net category, and of course you're familiar with the old pregnancy catalogs thing. Remember that old story about the girl getting pregnancy catalogs in the mail?
Oh yes,
Yeah.
of course. Look, was it catalogs? It was like because that had to do like the purchasing things that they were doing it wasn't like they were buying like pregnancy related stuff, but it had all these like markers that suggested that they were pregnant, so it started sending them stuff. And then the dad found out because it was like some teenager, and then the dad's like, my daughter's not pregnant, what are you talking about? Well, actually.
Yeah, and like so that's really just patterns of purchasing, and I believe it was probably like a buy buyers type thing. They are tracking your purchases to sell that data, whatever they can glean. Other corporations have you, and then Netflix has all these really weird categories that it's just sorted their users into, and like obviously you've got like all the main categories of watches, but they have just this very like extensive list of things that they categorize. So they have just like ridiculous category eyebrow horror thing, but it was like they have weird categories, but they also have different category users, and they were like the most specific type of viewer you can think of. You know what I mean? It'd be like almost the equivalent of being like guys named Jeff that only watch horror movies on Thursdays or something like that, but like it's in the data somewhere, right? So yeah, it is that weird. We're sure that are powerful enough to very, very specific and very, very nuanced about us. Just I don't think that's what TikTok is actually doing. I believe everybody ADHD content, probably. And it's just it's massive. But yeah, it is funny. They're talking about how it's literally like, well, of course everyone's gonna work it out eventually. They're like, oh, why am I like this?
I heard somewhere that it's maybe it's just from those TikTok videos and now like one of these armchair pros on ADHD. But I was listening to something saying like that ADHD people do really well in a crisis, and the suggestion being that I guess from an evolutionary psychology perspective, that ADHD was like this sense of anxiety that forces you to prepare for maybe harsh winters or something. So you're like super busy trying to get everything done, and then when it actually hits in, then you're actually pretty chilled.
Oh, geez. That's one. Yeah, that's one that I've never heard of. Being pointed at ADHD, but yeah, that's kind of scary because there is that like I'm quite a passionate person in general, and I can get very elevated and very heated in a discussion and whatever. And then there is this weird switch that goes off when there's like a genuine issue and like an actual situation occurs. I kind of go into like another stage of just really like very literal thinking, and that very very clear thought pattern of like, okay, well, this needs to happen, then this, then this. That makes sense. There was a here we go. John's not in the talk anymore. But we were at the Westlands Hotel.
Oh yeah.
And there was a fight a brewing. So I can see that, by the way.
Yeah, I was trying to get the because the video stopped. I'm still listening. I'm just popping some things around.
Your video stopped.
No, no. Well, I mean, it probably did. It's just moved to the back. I've just got to shift it to the front.
Okay.
So if I go that one there, that
Um,
didn't.
yeah, but we're at the Westlands Hotel and like with a big group of people, big group of lads or whatever. I can't even remember what we were there for some thing, and like there's sort of like an outside decking area that's like above grass. We were just kind of on the grass at like one of the like just standard outdoor table things, and we were sort of like near the decking, but and like kind of below it a bit, and these like absolute heroes thought, oh, it'd be really funny if we like pick up this esky full of ice and throw it out at the other people sitting at the tables, right?
Yeah.
And it was just like you can imagine what the reaction was. And the so the weird thing was that everybody gets up and just starts like completely arcing up about what was going on. And I pretty much just very calmly get up, walk around the group of people like freaking out, walk into the bar, find the bouncer who everybody's knows name is Razor. Found Razor and went, "Hey bud, you might want to come outside." And we all power walked back out to the outdoor area. It like it had started to kick off by this point, and I very calmly, and I think this would have actually been I reckon post black belt. So this is probably one of the only occasions that was actually post black belt that I'd come back for holidays or something. And
Yep.
I walked the whole way around the fight that was like sort of starting, walked just very calmly, walked the whole way around, and I stood behind like the main dude that was sort of like you could tell that was pretty much going to kick off. If anything was going to kick off, it was going to be him. And I just calmly stood behind him, waiting for him to do something.
Where did you say this was at?
This is the Westlands Hotel. This was just like the situation that occurred. But yeah, like you brought it up saying that like, what do you like in a crisis? Like that's what I did.
Yeah.
And like I could just in my head, I envisioned it. I was just gonna, as soon as he went to like his shoulder comes back for the punch, I was gonna take him out at the knees and pull him out of there. But I just stood there. Like I just calmly left the situation, went got the bouncer, came back, and then stood behind the biggest dude, just watching and making sure nothing happened. It wasn't until afterwards that I understood what I'd done, and I went, "That's actually really funny." I was just like, "Yeah, well, like this guy's clearly the one that's going to start the fight, so I'm going to stand here, and if something happens, I guess I'll subdue him."
Yeah.
But I'm not going to do it until it actually happens. But it was just funny. So yeah, there have been situations like that where like something bad happens and like a calm kind of comes over you, right? And then you're like, okay, these are the things that need to happen. Got that very rational head.
Yep.
Whereas some people are the total opposite.
Yeah, I've got both modes, and I don't know why one goes over the other sometimes. But like, I could either be an absolute like schizo and like go ape Dan, or like just super dead calm. And I haven't figured out what it is, like what makes the difference. A good example is like I was out. I must have been about 16, 17. Just moved out of home and going to a party. Obviously underage drinking because that's fun. And then and these three guys. One of them was notorious like for being an absolute wanker and starting fights, and he looked
Only one
like
of them?
he's already probably already like 18, 19, right? He's 6'4", 6'5", built like a brick shit house, like blonde hair, full like dude looking, right? And his brother was there as well, but his brother's a lot smaller. And so like it was me and my cousin, and we are out there drinking, and this guy like starts on my cousin, and like he's there with his brother, and his brother's got two other mates, and the two other mates are standing around like looking at me, and I realized at that moment like it's going to be a fight, right? Like it's a fight.
Yeah.
And I've always had this philosophy that look, if you're the first to get hit in the head, you're going to go down to the ground and you're going to get the shit kicked out of you. But if you at least know there's a fight coming and you swing and you punch and you get someone else, you might get a chance to get the fuck out of there, right? So that's exactly what I did. Like I literally, I grabbed this dude that was in front of me, nearest. It turned out it was the guy's brother. Grabbed this guy and then I headbutted him and I broke his nose. And I headbutted him a second time because I didn't know if I'd done the job right enough at that moment. In my mind, I'm like, did I really hit him? Because you know how sometimes when you go, you're like, oh, you feel like Muppet Arms kind of thing, like maybe there's too much adrenaline. So I smacked him again and just shattered his nose apparently. And then and then it was already on. Like they were kicking into my cousin, and then I was like already like dodging punches and stuff like that. But in the end, got out of there, and this chick took me inside and was like mopping up my blood and stuff like that. And it was insane. Like, but like then there's this other time when maybe that's what it is. Maybe it was because it was someone that was like my boss, and my boss was going absolute ape shit at me. I don't know what it was, but like I just everything just stopped, and I was just like, oh, so I understand that makes you feel pretty bad, and would you like to talk about that? And it pissed him off so bad. That's what I
Yeah,
said to
and
him, and like
that's what's funny
it
is
made him
sometimes
so angry, and he
it
was
gets
like,
more mad.
"Fuck this!" Walks out like absolutely chucks his shit, and I was, I was like. Next time, I'm just going to use the telephone counselor approach because it's so much more effective at pissing people off.
Oh yeah, no, it is
uh,
that. I think it is kind of unsettling to people when you react to a situation like that with utter calm. I think it
yeah.
actually freaks people out a little bit. And in a weird way, that is like something that happens. The weird thing is that you said the reason you got into a fight is because your cousin was. That was the same. That was the exact same situation. It's like it's pretty much that's the wilder thing. Don't you touch my cousin? That's pretty much what happens. That's how all fights happen.
yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then like what's funny too is like even in like acting and stuff like that, um, sometimes you'll see an actor that tries to play angry and they don't it doesn't sell. And you're like, oh, like it doesn't matter how much they try to turn it up, it's not scary, it's not intimidating. And then you tell them to pull it all the way back down. And you tell them, don't go up, don't be angry, come down and be the same, like say the same lines, say the same things, but be in that low energy that you're calm, you're in control of it, but you're still angry. And that can completely change a character and you're like, oh shit. Maybe that's a part of it, right? But that is that
Mm.
that is really weird that that came up. I was watching a video the other day and it was this guy talking about his combination ADHD, AS, whatever, and he listed a couple of factors that kind of called me out a little bit, and I was like, oh no, that was very much the like starting too many projects, getting really excited about something, hyper fixating on it, moving on to the next project, and then having too many projects and immediately feeling overwhelmed, and then just
Mm.
wanting to not do any of them, not do anything. I was like, shit,
Yeah.
the amount of
Yeah.
times
Like
that's happened.
that's the other point, right? Because at some point, like I have to say, for me, certainly ADHD, but there's no deficit, right? Like maybe when I was younger, there was an issue where I would get paralyzed because of too much projects, and I still have that issue today where I've got to have my hand in everything, right? And I do have too many projects, but I've come to accept the massive backlog that is work that is there, and I just keep slowly chipping away at it, right? And you're the same, right? You've got a method now where
Maybe.
you've got all these things happening. You've got all these things happening, and you go from one to the other to the other to the other. The problem I probably have still is when it gets to about 99% complete, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know if I want to do this anymore. No, I don't know.
That's that thing though, right? For sure. It's like when it gets like nearly done and sort of I don't know, like I've tried to rationalize it a bit myself as well and try to be like what is it that's occurring? Why am I having this reaction,
Yeah.
etc. And like sometimes it's the excitement in a project comes from kind of the unknown aspects of it where it's like you're doing something that you don't know and you haven't done. What have you done? Moved yourself. I'm gonna move you over
Sorry,
again.
bud.
You just slowly throughout the podcast, your head is getting bigger and bigger in the screen.
Hang on a sec. That is the cool thing about this one. I can.
Oh no! It's like
Um,
the two hosts in the news are like competing for whose chair is the highest in the news desk. You're just slowly increasing the size of your head depending on what your
can you
your
see it
topic.
moving around like pretty
Yeah, yeah,
fluidly, or is it just
yeah.
like?
It's fluid. Yeah, it's
Oh, that's good.
like.
I could have so much fun.
Like, are we on the spectrum? You're just like moving your head around in the middle of the conversation.
Tell me more.
There's that. I love that YouTube guy that does he does animations and stuff, but he doesn't actually animate anything. He just has a Photoshop document open and he has the layers and he drags them around with a mouse. Like, it takes too long to animate something, so just screen record and then just move the layers around. It's like taking the equivalent of taking two action figures and just bashing them together. Oh my god,
dear.
that's where the fuck were we getting with podcast? Have we
I
started?
don't
I
know.
don't
I
even
think
know what's
really
going on.
just there was gonna be a work collab somewhere. So.
Oh, dude, I think we got off topic like immediately. I'm just gonna do like an intro just in case we ever decide to like actually, which I don't think is gonna happen. But all right. Well, welcome to I guess the first official, semi-official, real, whatever number 2, whatever Creative Meatbags podcast. So this my name's Jono. We've got Mikey here as well, and we are Creative Meatbags. E.g., we are creative people that making all sorts of different things, as you've been talking about in previous episodes, and in the pre-show there, we're creative types. We do lots of different things. We kind of have a lot of hats, and we do lots of different creative pursuits and have like crazy amounts of hobbies and interests and things like that. And so um, we're sort of like exploring this area of tech and how AI is kind of changing creativity and changing these kind of creative pursuits. And there is a lot of negative connotations flying around and a lot of negative press flying around about all these tech tools, and how they're going to steal your jobs, and all these artists and stuff are never going to get paid, and all this careers are over, and all that kind of thing. But we're sort of want to be a little bit of a counterpoint to that. We're actually using these types of future tools in order to increase our creative output rather than to decrease it. And so this is kind of our podcast where we share what we're learning and share what we're working on, chatting with viewers and all that pop in during the chat, and anything that has come up between now and the next podcast, or whatever, and just talking about the kinds of ways that we can use tech to actually enhance what we're doing, and the ways that it's actually enabling us to do things that weren't possible beforehand. So yeah, that's pretty much what we're talking about. This week has been an interesting one. You were actually at this location last week, and we set up a lovely green screen over here, and we took some photos and some video and stuff for your Saber Academy stuff. And you said you've had a little bit of a play around with it. I've seen a couple of comic slides. How's it all going?
Oh mate, it is so much fun. And thank you very much as well for the masterclass in making color adjustments. Because like that, man, I tell you what, initially what I'd done was put together one of the photos, beautifully taken, of me and my daughter, and placed into like a more of a comic type style aesthetic with a bit of a story behind it. And I'd put some background to it, but I hadn't really put much thought into how I could really drive those colors and make it pop. And you did a fantastic job, man. It really looked amazing. So trying to replicate your style, I think I took a couple of attempts, and I think in the end I got there. But now I'm looking at it again, thinking, oh, you know what? That background looks way too sharp for what it should be. So I'm now looking at it again with a new lens, thinking, well, maybe I should give it a bit of a fuzz so it looks like there's some depth perception there, or something like that. So, but I
Yeah, for
couldn't
sure. I
find.
think you're
I'm sure I can.
overselling it a little bit. literally threw it into Snapseed and on my phone while I was messaging you, and just quickly touched up a couple of things and went, yeah, like I think you should go in more in this direction. So overselling it slightly. But for sure,
You
that just
undersell
comes from
yourself, man.
experience. That comes from experience, and that in terms of what you're talking about with like depth of field and stuff, I think comic books in general kind of have a bit sharp look anyway. Um, so for sure, I think you could go either direction.
Hmm.
So what we're talking about is I did have it up.
Yeah, that
But
might be better.
I might just do it here. It might be a bit easier. I'll bring up the original. Yeah, so explain kind of what what we're talking about. What I'll bring it up.
Yeah, so I've had this idea for a while now because I mean I'm a big fan. I don't know about you, growing up and reading like Blitz magazines, martial arts magazines, things like that. But I'm a big fan of martial arts magazines. I always liked looking at the ways in which these people who are trying to perfect themselves were executing these techniques. And I think it's actually one of the first times I ever saw Aikido, because I remember seeing like a hakama and thinking, man, that's a really obscure martial art. The only thing I know is like karate and stuff, right? So looking at how you can take martial arts magazines and recontextualize them, right? So everything that I do is about taking martial arts and recontextualizing it in the lens of science fiction and cyberpunk, which is this new genre I'm trying to create, right? It was more like crystal punk or something to that effect. And so what I've done is I've been working on a graphic novel which follows the story of a character called Kenshiro. And Kenshiro is, for the namesake, very, very loosely and imaginatively based off
Whoop.
of the actual life of Kenshiro Abe, from who was the very first Aikidoka or instructor of Aikido that took Aikido and delivered it to the UK. So I follow. I'm creating this kind of recontextualized story about what might have this been like back in the future of like 500,000 years from now, right? Which is where this whole universe is set. It's set 500,000 years into the future. Humans are long past. They've evolved into a whole bunch of other set of hominids, and so in this kind of lens, we're discovering what this martial art is. And so in this particular scene that you're about to show,
Yeah, I've got it up on
it's
screen now.
really
Yeah, so we've got the comic books. That is, yes, like the subjects here in the. Oh God. The subjects here in the foreground. This is actually an element that shot here in my little studio, and then the background obviously is like an AI art that you developed in and created a bit of a style and the scenery and everything and the setting of the thing. But then it was, for some of these techniques, obviously AI isn't specific enough to be like, show this character in this position and what have you. Like, you would have to train your model. There'd be like quite a lot of work actually you have to put in order for it to get a very specific thing. And I think that's sort of where people fall over with this, the whole like AI has taken our jobs thing, is that realistically it's only taking the jobs of the people that will slap something together and say good enough. Whereas an artist is looking for something very specific. And in order to get something very specific, you either need to put more work into it or the tech needs to get infinitely better. And so doesn't matter how good the AI is, still the fastest way to get something specific, which is what Mikey here was looking for, is to take a photo of it and do it in real life. So he's created these armors, created this aesthetic and costumes, and then we took photos here on green. Used Canva, which it has its own AI tools in there to remove the background with a single click, and then then we've used some filters and just some image adjustments to stylize it comic book.
mm,
Yeah, but it is interesting like how quickly that can come together and really look the part if you're doing every step along the way well. You know what I mean? Like if the costume's bad and if the position's bad and the photo is bad, then it's garbage in, garbage out. But it was like, yeah, you're going to get a heck of a lot better result actually creating creating the armor and doing it that way, and then getting the that way. And then I've got the kind of instructional one you've got here as well.
Yeah, it
Fuck
looks
that.
like
I'll
there's a bit
check
of
that
a.
up. I gotta find a better. I did have a better way, but you're currently covering it, so I'm gonna fit that to screen. There we go.
Just make my head smaller.
No,
Oh,
it's
there we
fine.
go.
But yeah, so then you've also got like the more, and this is kind of what you're talking about, like the different, the more martial arts magazine technique look as well, right? Where they do
Mm.
show off the different technique, the outfit and everything. And also you're seeing here too, this guy has a lightsaber and a hakama at the same time, which is the kind of long, almost, skirt like garb that they wear in and which yeah, I'm sure you can talk at length about it, but I thought my favorite thing about hearing about the hakama and started training with it was the fact that it actually hides the position of your feet in a fight or in a battle. And that was so crazy to me because you see this, you can see this kind of stout Japanese man and he looks completely calm and he's standing there and you think, oh, he looks defenseless. But if you were to lift his hakama up, you'd see that he's completely on the balls of his feet, absolutely ready to pounce at a in an instant, and can
Fun,
close the gap very quickly in battle, and that's kind of where some of that power comes from.
fun fact: traditionally, they didn't wear anything under the hakam either. So if you lift one of those up, you will also be very much on the ball too.
Well, that definitely ties into my heritage
Yes.
from the other side of the world. Yeah,
I was looking
I
at
was the
a
wrong
HEMA
warrior
store,
skirt
and
in the end.
no, I was looking at a HEMA store recently, and they actually were selling battle like HEMA based battle kilts. So
Yeah, wow.
might have to look into it.
Battle kilt is also my favorite Celtic metal. It's not, but
Very
it
good.
should be.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, so that's sort of what we were um is as I said, Mikey came over last week and we shot some stuff on green, which is really cool. Um and that was an interesting process as well that you got to kind of see as well, is that like you don't the trap to fall into in a lot of these making pursuits is gear acquisition syndrome, call it, which is when you end up acquiring way too much gear and then you might look up reviews for things or you look up tutorials or whatever, and then get excited about something and then realize like, oh no, I need this piece of kit in order to make this better and all of these things, and then it gets out of hand, and then all you're doing is looking up reviews for things, and then you're waiting for the next camera to come out to make your dream project. And definitely not speaking from experience at all. And kind of what you saw was when you came over the other day, is that you kind of seen what was over that horizon a little bit, which is the polar opposite, which I call like frugal filmmaking, which is the total opposite thing, where it's like it doesn't have to be the best thing, it doesn't have to be the best thing, but as long as you implement the right learnings from those from what the techniques are, you can actually do it in a very frugal way, right? So I literally went to Spotlight and grabbed some cloth for it was like $8, probably less than that or something, and grabbed a bunch of green cloth and we just hung it from a spring loaded curtain rod in my garage, and then a couple of smart lamps, like literally just a lamp from Kmart with a smart bulb in it, on both sides, lit it a little bit, and then another LED light. And Bob's your uncle. We got a really good green screen, and I've even been in large studios and TV studios at like places like the university where you have like a quote unquote professional level green screen. But if you're not lighting it properly and you're not correct gear and you're not using the right distance and types of things, you can actually get a worse key with the fancy gear. So the takeaway from that is actually learning how to light a green in a way that doesn't create a lot of spill. Like you can see on my camera now that I've got blue and I've got pink and I've got all this on my skin, right? So imagine if I'm standing in front of a green screen, blast it with light, and I've got green covering half my face. When you go to remove the green later on, you're going to find out that your subject's not going to look very good, right? And that's how you, funny story, spend an entire month learning Nuke, trying to key out 300 gigabytes worth of footage, and that was a fun COVID. But yeah, so you kind of witness a little bit of this frugal filmmaking, but then seeing like the techniques boil down to their core, which is lighting the green screen as evenly as possible, getting the lights but as close to the green screen, and not shining on your subject. And you don't need powerful lights to do that, as long as lights are sort of soft enough and right position and the right location. You can get a really good green screen key without giant light, and kind of sometimes adding more and more lights into a situation like that actually just makes more problems, shadows. That was kind of fun. And then I guess the other thing we sort of learnt garage was the difference between sort of what lens and camera position and camera height can do to the subject, and using the distortion of the lens to your favor, and so you can have the different types of shots with that. Using the same lens and the same focal length, you can go from a very straight up and down, very clinical, um, almost technical look at a technique, or you bring the camera up close, you use the same lens and you change the angle, you might Dutch tilt it, you might low angle or something like that, and immediately now you've got this ready to go comic book panel shot that has a lot of like dynamic angle, striking visually. So those types of things, yeah, that do get with experience, but also by playing around. And it doesn't matter what camera you've got, doesn't matter what lights you've got, what greens, you can learn this stuff. So it was fun.
Yeah, man. So we got to figure out. I think I'm pretty sure I was mentioning I do have an appointment on Wednesday, but we should definitely catch up on Thursday because I've got a whole bunch of other things I probably need to redo, or like go over or do the Kenshiro Abi stuff as well. So
Yeah, yeah. Or you just going straight into work mode.
sorry, man.
Yeah, no, we're free Thursday. Yeah, at this stage, you've got into actual work mode.
Ah,
But yeah, so what have you? Did you? So you found, once you went through the footage and stuff like that, you found what you still want, what other shots you need, and that.
yeah, exactly. So I realized we didn't really fully get to do two particular stances, which was I think it was Giran and Wakigamai, and or we
Did
did
you
do
write
a
them down?
Wakigamai, but we did it. Yeah, mentally they're in my
No, no,
head.
no.
I know
Write them
exactly the
down.
ones I
No,
need to do.
actually, write them down this time. Like, even though you know
I'll
you're
write
gonna
them down.
remember, just write it down. Don't forget.
Yeah.
That's me though. Like,
Um,
that's sort of my approach to all that kind of stuff now. Is it goes straight into the phone. Anytime I'm thinking of something, it goes straight into my notes app, and I use particular keywords in my notes app that I can always search for them after the fact.
mm,
You know what I mean? So I use the word like game dev idea, film idea, things that then when I'm looking for stuff later, I type it into the search and it comes up, and I know when the note was taken, how recently I was thinking about X. Y. That's that's my technique. Like, I'm always writing stuff, what I was thinking at the time, because I know uh, a butterfly could flap its wings, get what I was thinking about.
mm. Yeah, I was had a little brainstorm earlier today because my daughter was telling me again about how like on YouTube, you got these things called exercise runs, right? So it's usually like some Mario themed or Pokemon themed exercise run where kids for like 5 minutes will do a whole bunch of work. They're kind of running or something, right? And
Oh,
it occurred to me that maybe I could do something, but do it from like a 2D game. So I'll have the character Kenshiro running in like a pixel art based scene, like a flat scene, just scrolling through. And I was thinking to myself, how would I create that? But if I just wanted a video, not an actual game, right? Like, how could I, take a video? Are there any kind of pixel art loops out there that I could look at that has kind of got like a cyberpunk style, or should I just generate flat, long AI art of a scene, like a back scene, and then just add elements on top. Like we would video record myself as Kenshiro in costume, like doing a whole bunch of stuff, like basic moves, and then I just like it might be like a duck move or like a flourish move or something like that, right? And then string them together so that it looks like it's actually like a video game character running through this flat cyberpunk world.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to think about what kind of ways I would do that. Because at the end of the day, I'm trying to do it easy, right? I don't want to create too much work for myself. Something I can get a very quick output on.
He says
I'm
that
happy with.
now.
That's the ADHD. Yeah. Do you remember this old arcade like Neo Geo? I think it was Neo Geo. That was the old arcade
Neo
brand,
Geo, I
wasn't it?
think, was a home console. Like, yeah,
Yeah, there was this one it was like an 80s cyberpunk ninja or something, and the only thing I remember, because I remember it was a fish and chip shop I used to go to in Wowler,
what
like
on
Capo's fish and chip
on
shop sort of
George
thing,
Avenue.
and they had it there. No, no, not in George Avenue. I remember that one. That was a good place. But no, this one was
They
in
used to have Mortal
Mill
Kombat.
Street. Yeah, yeah, that was the first place I ever saw Mortal Kombat. At least had another one, like Jackie Chan one. I didn't know Jackie Chan had a fighting game. I was a massive Jackie Chan fan at the time.
Oh
But this one
wow.
was at on Mill Street. Oh no, so Nicholson,
Yeah.
and there was a chip shop there. And if you're like a millennial and you know this place and you're from Wildland, please let us know because I'd love to hear from you. But they had this arcade machine in there, and it was like this ninja one. And at the end, when you died, it looked like you fell into like this kind of rubbish trash compactor, and it had like a rotary saw, and the guy's like getting all cut up in like typical 32-bit graphic
Oh
style, and it
wow.
just freaked me out as a kid. But it left such a lasting impression. So I'll see if I can find it. Neo Geo Ninja. I don't know what kind of Google prompt do you think? Ninja game. It's probably like a 1990s or something like that, right? Neo Geo Ninja Commando. No, I don't think that's it.
There was
Um,
didn't he like called uh Shadow Ninja.
Shadow Ninja. Let's have a
You're
look.
hearing me okay, right?
Yeah, yeah, I hear you fine. What about
Okay,
me?
weird, because I'm looking at my levels and like it drops out weirdly, but yeah, all good.
Shadow of the Ninja, 1990. It does look like the style. Let's have a
Hmm.
look.
What was it? Shadow Ninja. What's funny is that we talk about old arcade like or NES games and things like that, and problem is they actually translate all the names into French over there, so it's really
Oh, right.
hard to like get the same name things because it's been
Yeah.
translated and it's like converted. Shadow of the Ninja is awesome, GD says. And
Okay.
then
Well, it doesn't.
what was because it's in England that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles didn't use they're called Hero Turtles in Britain, but it was
Oh.
translated properly into
That was another cool arcade. That was the first time I ever saw a four-player arcade.
yeah, the Ninja Turtles arcade game. But yes, we're getting off track. So you want to do like an 8-bit sort of scrolling parallax background.
Yeah, yeah. Like so, I
I
was
think you're on the
thinking
right
something
track. I
like
think
that.
if you made a really long looping uh background, you could then add layers to it, right? So usually most old video games they have multiple layers that then move at different rates, get a parallax
Mm,
effect. So the one
yep.
the one in the foreground moves faster than the one in the background. Get this sliding parallax effect.
Right.
So it's very easy to achieve with just layers. Yeah, so we've got that, and then in terms of cutting out you rolling background, there'd be a few ways to
Yep.
do it. Again, there's the expensive way to do it, and then the cheap way to do it.
Well, I think you know which person to probably take.
I think the cheap way to do it is you just pretend to walk and slide your video around on the screen,
Yep. Yep.
and then do I actually have that GIF at hand? Oh, yes, I do. Of course, I do. Oh my god! And then the more expensive version is this. If you can see the the Twitch screen. The more expensive version is this, which is a project I worked on, and they had a green they had a green treadmill and a green box, and I was playing Beat Saber while walking in VR. But this was actually a thing that they were genuinely doing. And the proposal for this was actually to digital recreations of crowds for the Elvis movie. Actually, potentially, they were putting in a bid for having cameras all around the green room. They've got these special depth cameras that you, similar to like an Xbox Connect, but then you capture from all angles at once, and then you bring that information into a game engine, turn the video into 3D geometry, and then you would have basically people wearing period costumes, and then you could recreate an entire street in Unreal Engine, and you could then do period accurate like Elvis videos. So this is one of the things I were experimenting. Is having a green screen treadmill and getting full walk cycles of actual humans. But could you imagine them like bringing like 500 extras through this process of like, all right, chuck a costume on, get on the treadmill, walk, look around, go, oh, look at that, stop, look at a newspaper, whatever, do all these things. Then next, change your costume, get in, do that. That was actually like one of the ways they were proposing to period actors is walking on a tiny green treadmill. So that's one way you could do it.
That definitely looks like a fun way to do it. I'm not sure if I got the money, but no, we'll do something that looks really kind of
like $100
creative,
treadmill and off of Marketplace and some green paint. I'm sure we'll pull it off.
Yeah, or I could even lay down on my back and look like I'm just like walking on the wall or something.
What, like Batman?
Yeah.
No, I would
I
imagine.
found the video.
Oh, there you go. You found the
I found the video. It was Ninja Gaiden.
Oh, it is Ninja Gaiden. No, I thought that one was too obvious. If you send me the thing, I can chuck it up, Eric.
Yeah, I've sent you this link. This scene, like, because I just
cool,
remember, like, whenever you end, right, like, it's an arcade machine, you got to reload, you run out of credits. It looks brutal as hell.
Wait, just send me.
It's just in the chat.
Oh, this chat. Like looking everywhere, but.
Sorry, bud.
Oh yeah, nice. All right, sweet. I'm gonna stick it. They do that like proper Ninja Gaiden where you die. What does it sound like?
Yeah.
Oh wow, it's like a buzzsaw. That is brutal, actually. Oh my god. Yeah, right. And you're back. That's visceral for like being a kid.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, right. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, there's some of those games, right? They really had like those kind of moments that grabbed you. That was like the what's the one where it was like fully animated? The like knights. Those dragons. Keep Anyway, way off topic. Cool arcade game.
Another game that was super cool and similar genre. I'm pretty sure it was called like Run Saber or Run Sable or something like that. And that was like this. It was the first time I'd ever seen Run Saber. It was the first time I'd ever seen like a Super Nintendo game. Because it was like I was a poor kid. I didn't have a Super Nintendo, but a mate of mine who I'd always go over his house. Um, he had one, and I remember playing this game with him, and it was so epic. And I'd always wanted to kind of emulate something like this. So I'll just send that one through to you as well. I wonder if it will show the. I think this is some other douche just talking about it. So I'm going to try and cut to the gameplay video.
All right.
Because it's the gameplay we really want, right? And
yeah.
Oh yeah, so this is a really cool. You might have to skip through it. I'll just get the link. Where are we? There we go. Okay, so take this one. I remember
Third
this
link.
level. I think the art style behind this is just amazing for its time. You got to think.
Oh, it's an old
it's
Atlas game as well.
Yeah, it's like it's the back scenes when she's floating. In I'll see if I can find a
got a time code.
Head. I don't, but I will quickly move
There's like a
through and fight a bit.
dragon. This looks so much like Contra.
Let's see if we can find.
Oh, the background looks great. Yeah, yeah. That classic. Yeah, that's clearly trying to a Hong Kong style thing.
Okay, so you want to go to like 9:47 by the looks
Well, I
of it.
was. Oh wow, there's like. Yeah, this art style has like such it's weird, bro.
Mm,
Whereas like it's not realistic, but it's graphic
mm,
in a way. But yeah, this definitely has that like Contra style, has like super realistic, but they were going for that like tiger art style as well. So it has the robots, but it looks like they've got veins in you, that
mm,
kind of hybrid between organic and stuff. Like you can
mm.
very much that guy alien.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, sick. Is that sort of the aesthetic you're looking for? Is it?
Yeah, pretty much. Like it might be a little bit of more of a clash, similar to the graphic novel, I guess that we've been developing, because you've got to find that balance between photos that you're using, and then the backgrounds that are available to you, right? So this is what was like 16-bit. Is that correct?
Yeah,
So
16
you'd
bit.
probably go
Yeah,
to yeah. So you'd probably look to like 32-bit, just for a little bit more of a balance,
all
but
that like
um,
PS1 still pixel
the
art
colors,
graphics, colors.
I love a lot of the 80s kind of retro colors. I
Mm.
think they're fantastic. And then of
Interesting
course
that
because this is a Saber run.
Yeah, Sega had like a very different style to did, but then games
Mm,
were a bit closer to that. Yeah, for sure, it's totally achievable. And then what could be interesting is actually just putting them after the fact, pixelate
yeah.
the video,
Mm,
then kind of tie in, and pretty cool. Yeah, I think that'd be doable. Have you seen the chick on TikTok that does like the NPC um movements stuff where she pretends like she's an NPC, and also there's a guy there that does this like running thing that looks like he's running really hard, but then you look and he's leg in the air and he's hips, arms, and he's running on the spot, but he looks like he's really going, you know. They do. They're actually a couple, and they do these videos where they're like they do anime intro videos. Okay, now that if we're in show and tell mode,
yeah.
um, but they do like a video where they recreate like an anime, um, and it's very cool. But they do a lot of it with just with movement and with planted feet, and just a little bit of them being cut off. I think it's called like every anime. I believe that would be yeah. It's these two anime intros. Be like boop, these two, and they just do. There we go. But they do every anime intro ever by like running around, but they move their bodies around to look like the camera's moving. Because they always use those like sweeping camera moves, but they're just doing it with their bodies. But they do this really cool stuff where they're running like static and everything. There we go. This guy running on the spot, and it looks so good. But he's moving his hips and his body to make it look like the camera is doing a smooth orbit or something. And they do this in public as well. and like they've done recreations in public. So there's different techniques you could do, but you're looking for very much like a small video game character with whole body. But I reckon if you were to do a sort of almost like an anime kind of style run, and especially if you've got a Hakama on, and if you were to kind of plant your feet alternating ways as you're sort of running and you're in like a lean forward kind of look, we could slide you around in video and it would look accurate. And also, I reckon what you would do then is you just the frame rate to say like 12 frames a second or something like that, and it would a walk cycle. Be able to then slide it around and it would have the full. That's an interesting. That'll be a fun little project to do. While we're talking about like side-scrolling video games and stuff, there's a video I've wanted to do for a long time because I'm a big fan of all types of games, but very particularly Double Dragon. That like much more like the beat 'em up on the street kind of 80s games, because of course you're just playing Rumble in the Bronx. Like it's just literally like you're playing Rumble in the Bronx as that game. It's freaking awesome. And
do you remember Battletoads as well? They had a
Battletoads,
crossover.
Yeah. I liked Double Dragon a lot more than Battletoads, but like heck yeah. But in I want to do a Double Dragon live action creation video. Because we used to do this quite a bit. But imagine then, like, because in Double Dragon, there's only like 3 or 4 enemies. They're all dressed the same. They all look the same. You beat them up. You go further down the street, and then you beat them up again, right? So imagine you're on Rundle Mall, and I've got a camera guy with a gimbal, right? And you've got that, and as the characters move along the screen, you're tracking with them on the gimbal, and you've got your main characters beating them up or whatever, and they beat up the guy, they do the move, and they fall down. As the camera tracks further down, following the main characters, the ones you just beat up stand up, get up, run around behind the camera, and then you meet them on the other side of the screen again. And you could
would you do it like
you could do it as a one take. You wouldn't have to cut at all, and you could just recreate it with your phone and do this like side scrolling Double Dragon video. And then by the 3rd or 4th time, you realize that they're just the same person.
Would you do it in like the that hyper NPC body movement type, like as you know, you'd have to really kind of act that out, or would you kind of go for the more realist combat?
You do a little bit of both, I think. Like you could do it either way. Yeah, we've done some stuff. If the costumes are out there and everything, and like colorful and kind of looks art, then you can sell it with realistic moves. But you can make a play on that. Tags for that. But yeah, that's something I've wanted to do. So that could be really fun.
Do you remember the Double Dragon movie?
Yes, I have seen it. Not great.
No.
nor was Mortal Kombat. And then the similar topic is have you seen the Street Fighter scene in Jackie Chan's I believe it's crap, what movie is that? It's his but have you seen the Jackie Chan Street Fighter scene?
No.
So there's a movie called crap. The greatest, no, it's not the greatest Street Fighter. Oh, City Hunter. Like trying to think of it because I remember it being like kind of broken English and you never. But City Hunter is like sort of. It was one of like the first like live action, kind of manga recreations, right? So City Hunter is kind of like an over the top funny manga, graphic novel. They get Jackie Chan to play the main character in the thing, and it's super over the top and really cool. And I remember seeing it on SBS as a kid, and it was like because there was no internet, right? I'm telling this story to the guys at school the next day, being like, "Holy crap! I saw this movie where Jackie Chan was beating up these people on a boat on like a cruise ship. He punched a guy so hard he flew into an arcade machine." And he popped out as Chun-Li from Street Fighter. And they had this crazy over-the-top battle. as Street Fighter characters, and he's like a girl in a little skirt and everything, and he's like he's got a fan and he's like doing all these looks and everything. And I sounded like a mental patient because there was no one, you couldn't verify it back then. I could have just made it up. And it's SBS. You never know what's going to be on SBS past 10 p.m.
Yeah.
So, but no, in City Hunter, there's like legitimately a scene where that happens.
I've never seen this before, so I think that's the one here. Yeah, this looks interesting.
All right, we'll bring it up. But it's legit funny. This movie is absolutely worth a watch. You can totally watch it now, and it's brilliant. But it's like way over the top, and I didn't know at first. Oh, the like chip tunes and everything. No shame, we're just going full Street Fighter. I actually don't remember it was all of this. Yeah, there we go. So they've done the NPC style. It's a live action cartoon. Style theme. Oh my god. That bold cap. Oh, gross. The graphics go so bad when they're doing the effects.
Jackie Chan is Chun-Li, that's awesome.
Oh, you're ahead of me.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, the Chun-Li is awesome. It can totally work. Notice that wire gag is in the same position as the other one. But yeah, video games in real life. Yeah, sweet. So yeah, so we were sort of talking about the different assets we got for like the graphic novel and for sort of like your well. So what's sort of your plan?
Yeah, so I've still got to complete a series of instructionals using Ken Shirabi. So at the moment we've got I've probably still got a couple more shots because of the to keep it consistent using that Shioda character, and then once I've got the Ken Shirabi ones, I really want them to be more like we're working together as a team, working through a series of sequences. I'm not sure how I really would prefer to do it. I mean, I could potentially do it so that it's focused on knee and up. So you're not actually seeing the footwork. And then I can simply make it that I've got a visual that helps people get their footwork right. And then they can just see a nice, good, clear image of me in the upper body doing all the movements. Or we can go for a full body shot and then make them more instructional rather than guided videos. So I guess to differentiate the two, right? Like, so on the one hand, you could be asked to do like 20 Shomanuchi strikes, right? Like, with as the video is actually playing, or it could be like, look, watch this, then pause it, give it a go, and then do it in your own time, kind of thing. But I prefer the guided, almost like Oz aerobics, right, where you're working with the video and you're doing it together, because it seems like it's more engaging, right? So um, yeah, but then there's a lot of limitations to going one or the other. If you go that style, then I think that it doesn't really work out as well or as intimate if you can see everything, like from the feet and up, and not to mention, you can't just. I mean, you probably can just like cut it so that on the one hand you're doing 20 shots facing forward, and then I turn to the side and then doing another 20 shots there or something. I don't know. Um, yeah, so I guess it's just trying to work out. At the end of the day, you want them to follow along. You want to be engaged in the video, but what really captures that feeling of you're losing yourself in that video and you're working through that activity with this guided figure, right? Like,
So
yeah.
these are the
So
ones that
I
will
don't
be
know.
part of the course.
That's right. Yeah. So,
Yeah. So just
when you
explain all
sign
of
up,
that for the for the benefit of
yeah,
anyone.
not to get
But
myself
explain what you're
downhearted,
working on.
but how many followers do we have at the moment that are
We've
watching?
got one. We've got one
But
viewer, but there might be people.
yeah,
That
look,
one
if
viewer might be
anybody
a
is
bot.
interested, yeah, that's right. Just making sure we're
It's just good practice.
of anything of interest. Yeah, like it's eventually, right. We'll have people sign up with us on saberacademy.com.au, and you'll be able to register for like a 10-week training program. And the idea is that in week one, you'll join me in a webinar, and we'll go through a series of videos following certain activities to ground you in a set of techniques that will set you up for more advanced stuff later. Like, the 10-week program is really about getting the fundamentals, understanding what the basic cuts are, what the basic footwork is, getting some level of physical fitness and activity. So you understand how to build muscle, how to work on these techniques in your own time as well. Or of course, for replay value, you can go back over these courses as well, and other webinars that will be recorded and they'll be made available to you.
And so your kind of goal with
Yeah.
that is like, are you thinking of like a 5-10 minute video that's like, sort of the video that they put on to do their general practice? Oh, you had a magic cup appear from outside of frame as well, did you?
Yeah,
it's not
I will
chocolate
have to
mousse
credit,
though.
we'll have to credit my wife. She's amazing. She just provides me with everything.
There you go.
If it wasn't for
Shout
her,
out.
man, I couldn't do any of this stuff.
Oh, for sure, right?
You're gonna hear
Yeah.
some
So,
of my marshmallows now too.
oh, marshmallow. Oh, that's all right. Marshmallows, chocolate mousse. All right. Fight that out in the comments. Yeah. So you're thinking of like, you know, that for the younger age groups at least, right? It'd be like about putting the video on and then practicing along with it.
Yep, yep.
Or
And
the
I think in
alternative
many ways,
is
if it's done right,
learning the techniques with a shorter video and then going out into the backyard and trying it. Or
yeah. So both of these would be available. Thank you, dear. I got a Bicky as well.
Picks.
Both of these would be available. The idea would be and I think if it's done right and tastefully and doesn't feel cringe, then it could go from the ages of 7 to adult, really.
Yeah.
It's just a
So,
matter of, yeah.
yeah, I can imagine it like similar to what you're saying, is like the instructor is on the tablet, because we're talking iPad kids. They're all iPad kids now, right? So they've got their iPad. It's got it's got the durability cover on it with the big handle and everything. They've got their tablet, and then mum or dad says, "All right, why don't you go out? Why don't you go in the backyard and practice your lightsaber?" Right? Take the iPad out there. They play the video, and say it's like a 10-minute video or something like that, where you're Kinshiro Abby, you're doing the shredder slash whatever character style thing is, where they've got the mask and they're not talking, so you're just gesturing like a Power Ranger, Be like, okay, it's your turn to do the thing, and now we're going to do this move or whatever. So you've got the voiceover happening, and then we'll have like a tight shot of you in the helmet, being like, okay, 20, give me a technique name. 20 of these every day. Must do it. Yeah, right, pretty much, right? So doing that, all right, your turn. And then we cut to the wide shot of you head to toe, and you're going 1, 2, and you're counting in Japanese, of course, doing that thing. And then we cut to we can cut to the headshot again, but being like, all right, it's very important that you practice both ways, left side and right side, right? And then you cut back to the larger shot, and then you're doing it sideways or you're doing it the reverse or whatever. And then you could be, as you're doing like the 20, and we have like the 10, 9, or it's counting up on the screen as well. You could then be having like bits of voiceover saying it's very important to bend your front knee and have your weight over your foot, blah blah blah, and having all of that. Like I think that works as a format perfectly, right? And then it's also like, if we're imagining that it's part of the course and it's on the website and everything, then the parent also knows how long the videos are, and things like that. So you could have the long versions, or you could have like kind of more real style videos that are just the technique, so you know which ones they are. It's more of like a point of reference, so you can check back later and know which or whatever. But I think, especially for the kids, like they're probably not gonna pick up on all of that stuff straight away. So it would be better if it is more of like a lesson for. So you are giving them like, this is, remember, you got to do lessons 1 through 6, once a week or whatever it is. Like have like a thing, and so then each lesson has that duration, and it's whether it's one technique or it's a collection of katas that they need to do. Then it's the parent can then sort of do that thing where they, okay, make sure you practice, like go and do lesson 4 again or whatever. I think that works quite well. I think, and then like
really cool thing.
it'll sort of unlock week to week or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. As you're saying, unlock. The really cool thing about the platform, of course, is that as they actually progress week for week, they gain experience points, right? So
Mm.
we've got on the website now, we've got the top left hand corner, I think it is, or top right hand corner. Yeah, top left. You'll have your avatar, and then you gain levels and experience points for literally each week that you've attended. And I've now got a QR system, right? So we also deliver training in person. And the idea is you attend one of these courses wherever you are, and you scan the QR code, and then you also get experience points that way. But then at the end of the program, then just like any other martial arts dojo, you get sent an actual certificate and a ranking within the school. So there is a level of, we accept at the end of the day that it's not like it's a traditional martial art or something, right? Like it's adapted from other martial arts. And the skills are certainly highly transferable, but at no point in ancient Japan were they playing around with lightsabers. So there's a level of, you got to suspend belief for some aspects, but at the same time, there is real effort, right? Real physical effort, and that effort should be rewarded. And so as you're progressing, and you are demonstrating proficiency in certain skills, like doing an actual kendo jodan stance, then I will then mark you off and say, hey, look, this person has demonstrated the correct form, at least at a certain level of proficiency, and then that you start to unlock your skill tree as well. So there's a lot to it. It's quite insane, to be honest.
But
I always think about how crazy it is.
The cool thing is, I think you can do a lot of this stuff remote, right? Like, I mean, these are TikTok kids we're talking about. Like, they're already going to be doing a lot of this stuff. And I think you can have multiple tiers of it, right? That, like, you can have your actual students sending you in videos of them doing specific technique, right? So if you have a video and it's like, cool, give me 5 Jodan stances, make sure it's like this, make sure it's like that, keeping your, back straight and facing forward and doing that. Then they send in, like, you give them an email link or something like that they click on, and they record a quick video on their iPad and they send it in, and then you can like tick it off on their online platform, right? So you can actually do a lot of this stuff remote, almost like in sort of in the terms of like it being like kind of a remote grading. You can actually do a lot of that stuff. Then the other aspect of it, right, is you can use it as student acquisition as well, and you could be releasing a reel out on socials and things like that, and be like, do you think you've got what it takes? Do 10 of these and show me that you can do it. And you release that as just a regular reel, and then they duo you on TikTok or whatever, and they send it back to you, and it's got you and them doing it as the same video or whatever. Then you can like give them a link and say, well done, like here's your membership or whatever. And you could have these, like, you could have kind of like a free tier where they're going to get a video every so often just on your socials. But they can still sort of get like a cursory membership thing, and you can give them some XP whatever on the website. And that's the open part of your sales funnel, of getting them, and then being like, oh, but mom, if I do this, then I'll get the lightsaber, and sure Abbott's gonna send me more videos or whatever. um and then it'd be like, and I'm gonna get recruited into his cyber army or whatever. But you use that as the wide part of your sales funnel, is getting kids involved, and just tell them to grab a piece of wood, or I reckon wrapping paper is probably the best one, because it's not going to damage anything. You tell them, go grab a wrapping paper tube, or go sticky tape a bunch of toilet rolls together, go out the backyard and duo this video. If you can do these 5 techniques, then we'll give you a basic membership or whatever. And then the next lesson is on the membership that they have to do. So I think you can onboard kids that way. And all those things is what's working in your favor. Is that, like you said, it's not a traditional martial art. You're sort of using the spoonful of sugar method of like dressing it up and making it look incredible and making it look really engaging to kids. They're like, oh my god, I can be a real Jedi if I follow all of these videos. What you are teaching them, kind of like I said, the spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down way, is you are teaching them the discipline, you are teaching them the attention to detail, you are teaching them physical aptitude and stuff that comes with doing those techniques. And the story that's in every freaking anime and everything is that ability of training and being diligent and slowly progressing. All of that stuff is kind of built into the system, which is the stuff that most parents want kids to get out of a martial arts class anyway. Honestly, most of them don't believe their kid's going to turn into some ninja that's going to be able to defend themselves. But what they really want is their kid to sit down, shut the fuck up for a second, listen to an adult other than them, and learn a skill that they can have proven aptitude in, right? And I think it's a lot of that aspect that's what the parents actually get out of doing classes or doing sports or any kind of those activities, is those soft skills that come along with it, which you can, as I said, for a lot of that stuff, you can still get that effect remotely by having the parents sort of channel that energy of being like, whoa, did you practice your saber this week or whatever? Remember to do the video again, yada yada. Like, oh, Kinshira Abby's not going to send you the next lesson until you've done all of this, right? And then they can sort of do all that stuff. So I think you can scale the classes in that way. And then also, because you're calling it a platform now, and it basically is, right? That's what's kind of crazy, is that it is a platform, and you're going to have all of these levers that you can pull in order to kind of turn up the engagement on that, right? So imagine if it's like, you can then use it like, well, how many kids duoed my reel this week? If we get certain amount of duos or whatever, then you'll get to know what happens in the battle of whatever the fuck. Right, and then you can unlock more content. So you can use that as like a community engagement thing in order for them to unlock the next comic book slide, right? And then you release that as a reel and things like that. So you can kind of use the power of social media in that way to sort of get the engagement going, on multiple fronts, right? So you've got the ones that are actually on the website that are getting stuff out of it. You got the ones that haven't signed up, or like, the parents won't let them or whatever. They're on the phone going like, all right, well, I'm going to duo this reel anyway, and I'm going to show Sensei that I can do the moves. even though I don't have a real membership yet. And then you release the next part of the story, of your, the story of your great battle, and when you nearly lost your arm, or whatever. And then that's kind of building up the character, but then also building up the sort of almost the what do they call it? The parasocial relationship between you and the kids on the thing. But of course, you're playing a character, you're playing a mascot. You're this kind of symbol of what they can achieve if they're diligent and they practice, right? For sure, I think that's fulfilling a need, and I think there's always going to be that aspect of having like a slightly free version of it where like you're producing the content and stuff, but realistically, it's also your marketing. So they're getting some value out of it by just following along and doing stuff live on Reels. But that's also part of your marketing funnel, and then you're going to pull them in with the extra bonuses and stuff they do if they actually sign up. So I think it could be really powerful. But then, yeah, you need to sort of start. Yeah, you're going to have a system where you're able to do this stuff very easily yourself, so that you can be churning out content frequently. Either that, or you write down a full plan of all of the content that you want to release over like a 4-month period, and then you come here and we bulk film all of it in a day, and then you run home with a hard drive, and then you piece it out and you schedule it out over the whole thing. But I think that could be a really powerful tool. Is that, like you're saying, you've only got 2 nights a week or something that you're not physically in the dojo doing lessons, and that's going to get less and less as you go. So it's almost like you need to reserve one week of like one night a fortnight, or one night a month, or whatever, like one full day a month or something, that we film and produce all of the content that then gets scheduled out over the time. But that's just going to continue the scalability aspect of it. You can get infinite number of students globally, at least in some capacity, doing the move and getting involved in the story and things like that. And then you've got the paid memberships, and then you've got the clubs that see what you've built and what you've grown, and the community that's already engaged. They want a piece of it, and then they sign up to your system, incorporate your system into their existing classes and whatever, and then you've got that aspect of it as well. So definitely, I think like you kind of set it up in these layers that are going to work really well. And yeah, but the issue is like it is going to take that kind of dedication and the same kind of diligence that students and stuff are going to need, as that like just absolutely blasting content out on social media at a constant rate. Get that happening, but I think that's totally going to work at scale.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. And by the way, well done on succinctly putting everything together. It's like looking at my life for the last year or so. Well done. So yeah, look, the content is key, and this is why you're the man, right? Like you're the dude. I certainly couldn't do that by myself. But yeah, so now
You could. You just need a bit more experience. But I think yeah, it's about that scalability, right? Because it's not, each time you're not spending 20 minutes manually cutting yourself out of a green screened background. Every time you're not spending X amount of time looking for backgrounds, or trying to hand make comic book panels and whatever, right? That time you're getting back by using these tools, you can then put into building the systems, building the back ends, building the platform itself, and adding more and more functionality and getting more value out of it. So I think that's the really important part. Is wouldn't be able to have a comic and a book, novel, and constant reels coming out, and a full web backend with scalability, your experience points, and that kind of real world evolving storytelling and gameplay aspect, if it wasn't for the AI tools that you just be like, hey, I want this thing. And then it says, okay, here. Well, if you want to make this thing, here's the steps you would have to go. And then you go, cool. What would that look like? And then it gives it to you.
Do it for me.
Yeah. Which is.
Did I stutter? I said I want it.
Oh my god. Like one of the guys I watch on YouTube that does a lot of this AI stuff. He was in the middle of a spiel and he was showing the video off of those new robots. Those ones that are only going to cost like $16,000, and they're
Oh
freaking
yeah,
insane. No, but
that's
like for
actually
what
pretty
they
cheap.
are,
That is
no,
pretty
it's
cheap. Yeah.
extremely cheap. And there's a whole conversation around that. But he was like in the middle of watching like this video and talking about the new robots, and like the inevitable of like every robot video is a human bullying the robot on the video. And there's literally this Asian dude with almost like a comically large freaking boxing glove just comes up and just smacks the robot in the chest and tries to knock her over. And
I
the
remember
robot
seeing
like
that one. Yeah.
compensates. No, this is a recent one, but like, and then he kind of stops his train of thought and looks directly in the camera and goes, "Can we stop uploading these videos? We're training the AIs on these videos now." Like at a certain point, when is the AI going to turn around and be like, "Wait a minute, that's me"? They're beating up with a hockey stick. Like, do I really want to serve these humans after what they've done? So I think there is an issue where we're gonna have to stop uploading robot harassment videos on YouTube because it's getting to that point. But it is really funny that like you basically can just abuse these things and just be like, "No, I said do it."
Yes, right.
I'm going to be very careful with my words, with how I explain this next topic, right? But what I found very interesting is that one of the most powerful tools for like even like academics right now, if you're a published academic that has a bunch of journals and has a bunch of stuff online, if you were to write like a publication, probably the easiest way to do that nowadays is open up Claude, tell it that it is that particular person. So like, you are Dr. So and so PhD. You are writing a resource on this topic. You are quite well known in this area. There are plenty of resources about this online. If you were writing a publication in an academic speech tone, what would that look like? And it'll spit out a bunch of stuff. And I will confirm or deny whether or not that's what I was doing today. It will spit out a bunch of stuff, and it will reference that person, and it will bring up all of the stuff that they've already written about. It'll write it into a thing, and then you tell it, "Okay, this is the structure that I want." And then you say, "What would that introduction look like?" And it will spit out the introduction. And then you would tell it, "Okay, expand on this for 3 pages," and it will. Like, what's kind of funny is that, like, I remember, like, when I was at uni, you have to go through these, like, you have to sign like an academic integrity thing. You have to submit all your documents and to turn it in, and it will check it against all the other assignments and make sure that you haven't like stolen anything. And then it's like at a certain point, like even the textbook is going to be written in the same AI that you're going to use. You're going to paste the textbook back into the AI to summarize it because you can't be bothered reading the whole thing. And then you're gonna paste it back into the AI for your assignment. And then of course, when you inevitably get a job, you're gonna get AI to write your resume, and you're gonna send the resume into the company, and then the company is gonna take that resume, put it into an AI, and then tell me who should I hire. It's just AIs all the way down, baby. Like,
It's there's a couple of things on that that are worth also bringing out. One of them, before we move on though, before I change the subject, is so I was actually, before I went on leave, I'm actually a PhD student as well with the University of Newcastle, and one of the things I've had to do is obviously mark papers, right? So I was marking papers for yeah, that's right. I heard that. I
humble
was marking
brag, just
papers
PhD.
for the University of Newcastle's like sports science department or whatever. It doesn't really matter at the end of the day. They just want people marking papers. Like the load is so huge. But what I found was 30%. 30% of students were using AI, and probably at least 5 to 10% of them were so bad like they didn't even care what the AI spat out. Like they were using
Yeah,
like the lowest budget AI like to write the paper, and after a while it would just repeat itself like over and over
yeah,
again,
that's
and
what you.
like it was awful. Like I mean, it's one thing if you're gonna have AI do the paper for you, but at least put the effort in where you've checked the work, right? Or you've modified it just enough so that it sounds like your own writing. But man, and if that's like I'm not even talking small numbers, I'm talking significant percentages of the student cohort, and you have to worry like these will students will like the university don't care really that much. They will, they'll elevate it like, oh, slap on the wrist, you shouldn't be doing that, rah, rah, rah. Do it again, you get into trouble, right? The students will still keep doing it. And at the end of the day, the university also wants to get paid. They don't want to kick these students out of their courses. So I'm not going to disparage any particular studio or anything like that, but there's a system that's now in place, and that system is failing. And we're going to very much see the fruits of that harvest coming up in the next couple of years when these students graduate, right? Like
Well, like
it's
the
a very scary
incentives
time.
need to be in the right place, right? So if the incentive of the university is get as many students out the door as possible and have the highest and have like average pass fail rate state of the art, then their incentive is pass. Then the students get through courses. Not what happened to me. Um, so then what ends up like that system is that you're going to take a population of people that their degree is worthless because everyone has, and they're still not going to be able to get a job they studied because their degree doesn't mean anything. Pretty too many. So yeah, like that instant value of having one ed experience paper that.
Mm.
So
Yep.
that's like I feel like the
Well, I mean, I look at it and I think, geez, society is literally slowly unraveling at the seams. The social contract is broken. The state of the future looks like it's on shaky legs. This is the point I was going to make as well before, is that you can understand then why over the next couple of years we're going to see a massive revolution in education, which is that students, the only reason why students will ever go to school is because they need free daycare. The system will be in such a way that if you wanted to, you could have high quality education at home, right? Delivered to you by an AI tutor,
yeah,
drawing on the resources that are available almost through YouTube or whatever how-to guide you could possibly want. Like if you want a system looks like my student has this level of learning ability, they really need to be pushing themselves in this aspect. Can you generate a study plan, and then can you execute that study plan by drawing all the resources together? No.
act
Yeah.
like itself
Yeah.
and go.
That's right. Yep.
And it will provide the. There is
Yeah. It could literally
already
do its own psychometric testing.
a startup doing and I've already just any stationless featureless is opening and that kind of definitely happening. And same, I was telling a hey that how Wood is explaining the code, how it's where to change certain things. It's like I was describing it as when you get into a while loop, kid.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, but why
Yep.
do I have to do that? Well, because of this. But why? Oh, because of this thing and this. Okay, yeah, but why? Well, actually, think about it. Really, the entire world is surrounded by this. You just get into you end up like start with like, why do I need to eat? the dawn of the universe and quantum mechanics, get stuck in a while loop with your child. You know who can do a very good job with while loop? Or ChatGPT.
Yep.
And like,
Yep.
but that's like a thing. Like now, I don't have kids and I don't have any experience, mostly because I straight away that I wouldn't agree with the way schools. I didn't want to get into. I think I would absolutely is that whole situation actually harnessing a kid's curiosity rather than trying to stifle it. You have limited time and limited patience, and sometimes you just be a parent and get things done, right? Whereas,
Sorry,
like,
just 1 second. I'm gonna let the
you go
dog
for it.
go to the toilet. Hit.
You know, I'm just gonna ramble for.
Oh, that's right. He'll go to the toilet by himself.
Oh, it's the dog. I thought you needed to go.
No, 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 no. Dog's amazing. So he's toilet trained, but
Oh, lovely.
he's only a little pup, so he still gets a bit scared. He's like, You're not gonna go hold my hand, you know? Come on, man. It's dark out there."
The worst is the eye
So, no,
contact.
yes,
when they
guys,
make eye
yeah.
contact with you during, you're like, not comfortable with that. We're not
I,
there
I
yet.
just try to I just try to creep the dogs out. You know, like just look dead in the eye, like.
Back up.
Mm.
But I think like that the ability of AI to satiate and even saturate a kid's curiosity is a hugely powerful. Is the fact that if there is a system that can answer my question and can follow and segue a curiosity that the child has into a learning that it's already deemed as child is that struggle with, and very similar to well is like in case that that the child apparently in is a really powerful tool. That's going to be incredible for a kid to shut up and skill and math problems are. Well, how many lightsabers does General Grievous have? And if he was rotating each lightsaber at 72 RPMs, then what would the and you can then recontextualize which stressed areas into that E and maintain that in.
Mm. Yeah.
That's definitely at least AI guided, whether or not ad version. Um, AI summarize data or good version. It tailor made learning at a that is going to have kids.
Mm. I have this like metaphysical view about technological progress, right? So like how um if you could explain or like kind of maybe summarize the best technological revolutions we've had and what they actually did to the way that we engage in reality. I could sum it down to something like reduced our ability to spend time and energy to cover distances, right? So, say for example, and I know that sounds a bit aloof, but I'll explain that a little bit further. So, before we actually developed husbandry and horseback riding, we're just walking around. Long distances sucked. You had to, as humans, we're actually exceptionally good at traveling long distances and going marathons, and we can out hunt any animal because we've just evolved that way, right?
I
But
thought
then once horses
husbandry.
actually came on the scene, I don't know if you can train me to do it. So, um, yeah, so then all of a sudden, thanks to this ability to breed and train horses, long distances became shorter. Yeah, and then likewise, as we then moved towards like steam engines or at least wheels first, and then steam engines, and of course sailing and all that, these long distances became much shorter. And at the same time, while that's happening, our understanding or transmission of communication started becoming more and more instantaneous through the circulation of printing press and books and things like that, until you get to telegram and that. So long distances became shorter and shorter and shorter. And the idea being that eventually we've reached the point now where you could literally live in a pod. Yeah, like you could live in a pod if you wanted to, and pretty much have the whole world come into you. If you
Floating
want to go and
head
see
and
Egypt, you can. What's that one? Yeah,
it float
that's
head.
right. um, but what's kind of happening at the same time is that your perception of reality about what is the distances you can cover are massively changed. That you don't like when I was a kid, I used to have to walk everywhere. My mum never had a car. We would literally walk to the shops. It would always be a 35-minute walk from where we lived to the main shopping center. And then we'd carry bags back, right? Like mum never even got like too flaky to get a taxi or anything like that. So you had a when you're walking anywhere, as you know, like if you're taking long walks, especially if you don't like those long walks, you have a deep appreciation for the things that you're passing by. Like every footstep, right, that you're taking, you're noticing things as you go. You're paying closer attention. But the moment you start driving everywhere, reality becomes more of a blur. You're paying less attention to the things that you're passing, even though there could be so many different things that are occurring in that space. Yeah. So space shrinks, like space literally shrinks, and your ability to extend yourself across space is expanded, right? Like you can now make more of an effect on the world than you normally could. So coming back to artificial intelligence, what seems to me to be the case is whether it was communication or physically traveling and getting knowledge from the world around us is reaching a point where we could literally be surrounded by AI caretakers where we could affect the world if we wanted to, but we're going to be so encased in information that's readily available to us, that's presented to us in such a way that the gaps or the chasms between people is going to be nearly insurmountable. Like you and I, at some point in the future, maybe in a retirement home or something like that, right? We won't really need to talk to any other human if we didn't want to. We could literally live in bubbles isolated from any other human, and you know you've heard of the dead internet theory, right? Like the dead
Yeah,
internet theory is the idea that actually most humans probably died a long time ago, that the internet you're dealing with is just full of bots, you know, like
yeah.
it's just like empty space.
Well, yeah.
I
If you
actually
if you
see
check Tinder now, exactly what.
Yeah, right. Like I actually believe that what we're probably going to see is an increase in that's going to become more and more evident as we go. Like that, you won't actually ever need to really ever communicate with another human being again. And I had this many years ago. I had this idea of another graphic novel, but I'll probably never get around to doing it. And it was supposed to follow the story of this, like all the entire human race has decided to part ways. With their like, you know, like a divorce. They've had an amicable split, and they said, you know what, I don't really like other humans. I'm just going to get into a pod like Red Dwarf or something like Lister, and just float for the next like a million years into whatever direction that I want. And all humans just like literally, there's one human to vessel, and it's got an AI caretaker for company, right? And they just float for in whatever direction until they
Like
find something.
Wally.
Um, yeah, like they'll never ever deal with another human because they're just philosophically like they've reached that point where they're like, you know what, I don't really care for humans. I'm just gonna be my own cosmos and by myself, and it's just see what happens, right? Like, and so I was fascinated about the dialogue that one would have if they were actually in this situation. Like, what kind of being would this create? And I think that, believe it or not, we're probably closer to that now on Earth. Living in our own pods, separated with our own amusements. And I think that humans are probably going to reach more of a point where they're just fed up and they don't really actually want to deal with other people. Maybe the Asperger's side of things is actually like the natural next step of human evolution. It's just literally not having any social desire whatsoever. That's actually the natural You see
Yeah.
where I'm going with this?
Yeah. No, for sure. Like, there is like that increasing like frustration that the more convenient we make our life, or those little have a big impact can grow to annoy us high level. Like, if you look at it, and I'm guilty of this as well, is like when you are like, oh my god, like this is terrible, and this thing is, oh my god, how is this happening, and like who could bring a child into this world and all this stuff. Like, there was an amazing stand-up comic that was talking about this day, and he was, oh, these people that are like, who could bring a child into this world when everything's going on, and it's like, this is the best time in human history ever to raise a child. Like, doesn't matter what's going on. We don't have, the infant death rate is so incredibly low, and all these other aspects, and healthcare and life expectancy, everything that's going on this is the best time in history. There has never been a better time. Everything is improved. This is the best life. And even if you're living in poverty, you are living the life of a king of 1,000 years or whatever, right? Like, it is realistically that perspective that is the moving goalposts that is always happening in our lives. And like I said, the smallest inconvenience is like going grocery shopping after 6 p.m. on a Wednesday and being, oh my god, it's so busy and there's people everywhere, and oh, this kid is screaming and whatever. And it can affect you more because, like you said, the more and more that space and things are compressed in a way that the information that we can send out and receive from the world is come from anywhere. Therefore, we don't need to we don't travel as much. Make our homes as convenient as possible. Those other inconveniences then feel like they have a bigger impact, and then all that does is drives us to isolate even further, right? And it's all these aspects where, like, know, talk about that we have these echo chambers on the internet, and we believe we all have the same views, and then you meet someone that has drastically different views, and you're like, oh my god, how can people be this way still, and things like that. It is that interesting kind of siloing of society that is happening across the board. And I think you're right. Like, in the movie Her, and many other like players and do this kind of AI or robotic lifestyle thing, that we do get kind of siloed and do completely lose touch with what brought us here in the first place. And very much Her, it's like he's having a million different conversations all at the same time, and he's talking to her as if she's kind of inadequate in a way. Like, all of those types of things, 100%. Currently, it very much feels like we're speeding in that direction as fast as we can, to the point where we're dedicating, cities worth of power resources in training these AI models better than the game before it. It's definitely a
Imagine one day, right? Like, actually, yeah. This is probably the best analogy. You've seen the ending to that film, Artificial Intelligence, with I think it was a Steven Spielberg film, wasn't it?
Oh, the Spielberg one with the
Um,
kid? I actually haven't
yeah.
seen it. I've downloaded it to like watch, and I haven't.
So, um, I mean, do you want me to give you a spoiler? Like, is it one of those films you'll ever go watch, or you're quite happy to hear the ending of? I mean, it's
I'll
kind of
probably
it
I'll
will be
probably
pertinent to
forget.
this point.
I'll probably
Okay,
forget.
cool. So I mean, the story is quite a beautiful story. In the end, like, obviously the boy is an AI machine, and he sits at the bottom of the ocean for like millions of years, and he gets discovered by like an advanced alien race, and they treat him as this really precious relic of the human race, because obviously he was made in the human image, and is like the last kind of relic of that existence. And so they also go through his memories and discover what it is that he really wanted, and that was love from his mum, or like his human mum, right?
Mm.
That he felt like that was all he ever wanted, and he had so they gave it to him. They kind of created this um, fantasy in which he could outlive that for his last moments. Um, and it was it was interesting from the perspective of like, what if at some point an actual alien race did discover human DNA, maybe your DNA, John, maybe they, out of all the humans, they discover your DNA on something. Maybe you cut
Cool.
yourself on a rusty spoon or something, and they find this trace and they bring you back, and it turns out that consciousness is connected to the biological aspect. So you've got the same consciousness as you do now, right? And you're like, oh wow, what am I doing here? But what the point I was going to get with is that, so here we have a human being that has been genetically engineered by an alien race. There's no humans anymore. They're completely surrounded by an artificial reality that they've had to make this human feel adjusted and at home. It's basically like a habitat so they can understand the human race more. And in the meantime, to some degree, you accept both the inescapableness of your current predicament, and so you've got to find peace with that. But at the same time, like, you also know that it's all fake. Everything's fake, and so I was thinking about the fact that at some point, just like aliens, a super intelligent creation of our own that becomes our caretaker, and creates a reality for us that is completely sterile or free from any possible conflict or something that might disturb us, right? Something like, so, for example, like conflicting points of view that we might not feel comfortable with. Um, that it creates this entire artificial reality, and it actually pushes out the influences of things that would otherwise just disturb us, right, or make us upset. So, which would be relationships with actual human beings, because those things seem to create us the most conflict. Yeah,
We're
out
already
of our own.
getting there, dude. There are already people with AI girlfriends. Like
Yeah.
the uncertainty of a real one.
Yep. Yep. God, that's
But keep going.
so it's just really the natural, the fact that all this is just echoing what already exists, which you just beautifully put the point. Um, that what we're moving towards is this kind of, like, it seems so bizarre, like looking at that Spielberg film, but thinking, actually, wait a second, if we were to create a super intelligent AI and it actually served us in this way, um, I guess rather than the aliens creating that kind of zoo for us, it's ourselves creating that zoo. And so, how would you live or function, or what kind of human does that create, right? Yeah,
You,
that's the
you blew it all up.
yes.
You
Simpsons. My kids have just started
maniacs.
watching The Simpsons.
You damn dirty ape. Yeah, dude, it's freaking Planet of the Apes. But all of these types of films that obviously have bad endings and are trying to instill some kind of like message of what we're doing. Best ones fall on deaf ears, and even some of the terrible ones fall on deaf ears and become the memes that we then use to cope with the issues of today and pretend that it's not going to be an issue, right? And the amount of times that satire or parody is then seen as supporting the very thing that it's making fun of is a statement in itself of how oblivious we are to our perspective and the perspective of others is kind of ridiculous, right? And then you look at the new Blade Runner movie, a similar way where um, the main character's memories are artificial, planted place in order to give that character the information that is useful for his role that pre-assigned. Right? There are these movies, and I think Terminator Salvation, although it's a flawed movie, has a similar thing in it as well, where the character believes they're doing thing for one reason, but realistically they are being controlled and they have been engineered in a way to thing that they wanted their reason, not its own. There are all those types of completely oblivious. And then there's that aspect of ourselves that we're trying to like clinically take all of these out of our life. basically disinfect our entire lives style and the environment around us, but and like on a biological level and the same as a psychological level, those challenges and the things that are what makes us strong enough to resist things and that gives us our strength in the first place. Microbiome level, or that you clean everything and disinfect everything, more susceptible you are to attacking you. And find that it's the people that have been through hardship that we have because of those things, and we have these coping mechanisms, have the ability to overcome hardship challenge because that's the biology that got us today. If we remove all, what are we doing? And it's that aspect of like our technology is advanced faster than our biology can. We're forgetting and we're doing away with all of these things that our biology sees necessary and has evolved to pain and to live with. And we're just trying to get rid of it all and deem it as important, um, because our lives have changed so much period of time. We're gonna have to find a balance there. Have to stuff that we are trying to get rid of are actually helping us. It's very, very, very weird.
Mm. If you like knowing that all this stuff, like it's a good chance that it's the next couple of decades, right? Next couple of decades, everything's going to drastically change. So that's in your lifetime. That's in my lifetime. Um, what kind of philosophy would you reckon you would want to live by now? Like, what kind of ethos? What kind of how do you want to sail your ship to as we start to navigate all these storms now to set you up for a more meaningful sense of purpose in life in the next couple of decades, right? Like how do you want to frame your world now as we travel into this, knowing that this will happen and that you want to come through it like with a sense of it's not just all been a big waste of time, and that you can look back and say, hey, look, I was working towards this thing and this was meaningful.
Yeah, so we ask all the I'll just quickly answer this question onto the the more important issues. No, so like obviously that's an incredibly crazy concept, and it is right in that. What do we prioritize? What do we want to cut out of our life? Cut out of our life. Include, which it, like as I was saying that it's our resilience comes from hardship, comes from that. If you were to cut all of the bad times out of my life, then I wouldn't be where I am today, and I'm sure rest. Well, it's like a very similar thing. So it's really hard to then come from a position, yeah, have been through it, and then go, well, what crisis do I want for my kin? And what yeah, what hardships do I want them to become the people that we want? It's a really interesting philosophy. Yeah, I mean, we keep talking about the whole like bad times make strong men, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff. But it is like on some level, it does compute that um, you need to overcome adversity, uh, grow, change, right? And for make our lives, yeah, the more divorced from those things, and it's hard, right? Like I sort of have a bit of an opinion. We've out as a society, we've sort of outgrown, but we haven't outgrown the lesson from those religious teachings. Right? Like, although they can be seen role and sort of like a pre-government type of thing, and for population control, and understanding what's going on in a it's a small town or whatever, and it's a way of that sort of extended family to be able to extend out, and so you can look after people and all that thing, and you can have that sense of togetherness and what have you. But there are negatives to that type of structure as well. So it's in that weird way where we have to learn why the things that maybe seem outdated or that we don't are inconvenient need anymore. We need to we need to simultaneously find out why they had value in our lives previously before we cut them out and not replace them. That still for I think that's kind of aspect we're gonna need to look at, is that for sure we can do away with do away with gathering and have these convenient. Otherwise, we could do away with employment in like 100%.
Sorry,
But
just be off.
like we can do away with employment very soon. If a robot costs $16,000, then a government can buy 1 million of them and have them run every factory and every food producing uh, process that we have. We could do away with employment and still survive. But it's about those aspects of what actually we need and what creates a fulfilling life and what grows a mind, grows people into people that they are. That's the stuff that we can't cut out. Make sure throwing the baby out with the bath.
Yeah, pretty much. And that's pretty much what I also envisioned with a lot of the projects. What I'm doing now, I've always felt like there was a special relationship in martial arts. Whatever you're training under someone, right? Like if you've got a mentor, even if you're doing a PhD or if you're doing something which closely requires you to work with someone and follow in their footsteps and really try to understand them and their work, so that you can also develop yourself as a human being, right? Um, there's something special in that. And if we move towards an age where all of child development and schooling is now handled by AI, so it's no longer, I had a gripes with schooling system in the sense that these kids were being raised by people who for 12 months, and then for the next 12 months it'd be another teacher, right? And then next 12 months another teacher. So they never really get a solid, consistent relationship with the caregiver. They're always getting like these short relationships with people, and that for me was a really big issue. But now we're going to move to a point when they have this faceless machine that is their the guide and mentor in life that teaches them everything, and it's just regurgitated words and from the internet, right? Whereas the trade off to that, or sorry, the corollary to that is like a mentor, as an instructor, is someone who is like, I guess the missing patriarchal, paternal, loving father figure, which is what martial arts in many ways is known for. Um, and I'm really, I like the idea of even if it's just a fictional character, something that embodies this relationship between teacher and student, and that young people who are going to sign up to this program are going to some degree should feel that they're actually not even coming for the martial arts training. They would come for a sense of personal guidance, right? Like you see all these like new businesses popping up now of like the new self-improvement gurus or like business mentors and stuff like that. But actually, I guess in some respects it does follow that model, but at the same time, it comes down to the quality of the teacher as well, wanting to feel a sense of personal connectedness to the students that they're training. So I wanted to retain something of that in something that an AI cannot teach you, right? Like an AI cannot teach you martial arts skills because some of it is very physical. You require a physical body to be there and to guide you through a technique, especially something like Aikido or Judo or Jiu-Jitsu, which requires subtleness of the human body. It sounds way too more intimate than I actually thought it was supposed to.
For sure, and
but,
that came up a lot even when we were talking about it in Japan, right? That the stuff that we were talking about was that, and like there's all these aspects of things. There's always like the kind of woo woo spiritual way of explaining things, and then there's sort of like a more realism or like materialistic way of explaining the same thing as well. And then there's say like with few activities are when the mind and the body are learning from each other, right? Like you can say there's like where like mind and body are say well uh martial arts is a physical but also an intellectual exercise where there is cognitive processes, body mechanics that are coming together, right? And then you've got that thing of like uh you learn it by feeling it and feel it by doing it, by the feeling. So that's that aspect of things where like it is an embodied experience. That's what drew me to Aikido in the first place. It's very clever, and you're learning things about your body that you know, and you're learning about how the body and how it doesn't move. Advantage of that, and that you can. There is like a biomechanical level to it where you're creating levers and you're um, creating advantage points using larger muscles that, and you are creating an unfair situation, and learning that and feeling it, and that feeling of starting a new skill and gaining mastery is that fulfilling endorphin feedback loop happens is mind then body and then back again. That's something that you can't do in like in sports and things like that. Those are the types of things aspect have that like you said, that mentorship and that sort of handing down apprentice journeyman, type of thing where it's the apprentice them that that relationship time itself, right? We were learning and transferring skills throughout generations. That is how it was done with blacksmithing, husbandry, saying all of these skills follow that same process. It's the person that has the knowledge passing it down, and they're going through the process of teaching that. There are so many valuable aspects of that could be accidentally cut out of the system because they would be seen as inefficiency, but they're actually the value that comes from that. Whereas the activity itself may not have that kind of societal value, but the way that sausage is made is where the value comes from. I mean, I grew up having a bit of an interest in sport, thinking that pretty much a giant waste of time, and that there are the eggs that are broken in that omelet along the way is not is waste and a bane of. But then there are examples where that is actually also the value is that kind of dedication to the activities, even though the activity itself um, isn't that valuable or becomes a valuable product um, ever, but it is the practice of dedicating yourself to a practice is where you get the character building how to be a functioning society, right?
Absolutely, absolutely at all. Yeah. There are also these little spaces in between the learning as well that I think get forgotten. We can get Claude to summarize an entire subject and
Or
then
this
just have
podcast.
pure knowledge, right? Yeah, like this podcast. Yeah. But like there are anecdotal stories when, say, as you worked with Sensei Carl. There are these anecdotal stories that you get that are not part of the learning, right? They're not a part of the training specifically, but they do create like they fill the space around it, and they tell you something about the culture or it's a transmission about the culture in which those martial arts were developed, right? So there are going to be anecdotes that had come from Reg Bleakman and Tony Smith Sensei, and then there were anecdotes that go back even further to the instructors that would have imparted into them, and there could be potentially there could be an unbroken chain of these small, subtle inflections in the way that they speak, or they laugh, or they carry themselves, that you will pick up, and because you will think, well, this is someone I respect. This is a strong character. Is this the way in which strong men hold themselves, right? And so then you might start to emulate these mannerisms that could potentially have had a very long history, much longer than what we realize. And I think that if the only ways in which students learn is through AI or is through teachers that have very short relationships with them, they never actually pick up these other aspects that inform the culture in which we are growing up in. So we should be growing up in anyway. Yeah, and the other thing as well is that, especially particularly strong in martial arts, is these little mythologies that have embedded in these mythos, these the great kind of characters that, whether if you're in judo, everybody knows about Jigoro Kano and Kimura, right? Like these are really strong figures, and those who would have studied under them would have small anecdotal stories and reflections on what it was like to train under them, and they would create the tapestry of authenticity or legitimacy about that particular instructor. And people will go and travel to see and study under these instructors so that they can feel like they're a part of that unique lineage, that character, that flavor of that particular style and genre and discipline. The same reason why we collect memorabilia or like relics of famous artists or musicians and stuff like that, is because we want to feel like there was this human element that was connected to it. You're not going to get a signed guitar from like someone who's just used AI to create a song or something, right? Like
Yeah.
it's not there. Um, but yeah, so that's another thing I wanted to do was again create, or at least retain aspects or essences of these anecdotal stories, and these characters and these great figures in the history of martial arts, and re-imbue them with new life and new context, and put them back into where they belong, right? Into this great fiction. In some respects it is fiction, like the stories about Bruce Lee, right? Like there's some great stories about Bruce Lee, but not all of them are completely accurate, but that doesn't matter,
Well,
right? Like we
and that's
enjoy them.
like fiction. Like I like that definition because I feel like a lot of fiction is, in fact, a lot of history and fact have, and the sort of story we tell ourselves as is probably fraught with raw fiction that isn't true. And there is a line where history becomes mythology that then dismisses being mythology, even though history and the stories we told turn into stories, exaggerate, evolves over changes. Lose we lose a lot of the so sure, but and I like what you're talking about, how it's like not just the characters, people that that created these could be have to be anything, like you said. It could be, and it could be a craftsman, it could be a coach, it player, government, warrior. But there, that other aspect, like that stuff that you're saying, is also like the choices that that person made, what informed why they part of their character, um, made those people make decisions. Right? It could be literally anything, but it's that aspect of turns in rather than a practitioner role model people, and it's giving people an insight into why people behave the way they do, and why if you do see this person as if you person as something that to aspire to, it's also knowing enough about them, sort of recreate a model of that person in your brain like an AI does, right? But you sort of need to have a full, complete view of that person in your brain there so that it can inform well, right? And if you are only just getting the teachings out of it, acting with that person having these interactions with people, even in mundane situations, then you are missing those aspects that actually.
Well, I think that's a really great way to consider winding down.
So pretty much each week we kind of start with like, oh, we're making this really cool thing, and like, wow, isn't it awesome that this tool helps us make this this really cool project, and how much time I saved. And then by the end of the podcast, when it gets to about an hour 30 or whatever, it just becomes this, this really heady conversation that turns into, we're all doomed. Our children are going to be just spoiled brats and never going to amount to anything. The robots are going to take over, and we're probably just going to end up in a tiny space pod floating out into the galaxy and never talk to another human being again. Is that about right?
Yeah, that's pretty accurate.
So same time next week.
Same time next week, man. It's a pleasure, as always.
Awesome. Yeah, great convo as always. For sure. Like, we're gonna be playing with more of these tools. We're gonna be making some really cool stuff and saving a lot of time doing it. And we're gonna be, hopefully, as possibly can, we're gonna be trying to take the best out of it and use it in a way to better, not worse.
Yes, that's it.
We're gonna end it on a slightly positive. Though I am seeing time. Definitely a good time to wrap it up. Well, that's positive enough. Awesome, bud. Great convo, and yeah, we'll be doing hopefully on the reg, and maybe we'll bring like we'll bring a bit more of a topic to convo each week, or one that we bring and we discuss in more detail and maybe try and solve the world's problems.
Yeah, absolutely. One AI bot at a time.
Exactly. Awesome, bud. It's good to see you.
Yep, you too, man. Have a good night.
Yeah. Wow. That was a heady conversation. A lot to think about. And it's only 12 o'clock. Now, I did sleep in a little bit today. I might continue to do a little bit more stream here. But what I will do is I'm going to cut the YouTube stream, because that one was pretty much just a podcast. So if anyone's been watching on YouTube or anything like that, that's pretty much what the format of the show is going to be, somewhat. We're going to talk about the topics of the week for AI stuff. We're going to talk about what we're using the tools for and helping others use tools for. Talk a little bit about mythology of the world and like where we're heading and everything, and then usually try to leave with a bit of a message about like how we need to sort of forward in the right way, full steam ahead into the abyss. Anyway, thanks so much for watching YouTube. We'll see where this goes.